So, one of the things we don't really discuss enough in music, that we maybe don't even discuss enough in context of meditation and spirituality, at least not in secular spirituality, is this idea of who are we practicing for? You know, who's the beneficiary of all the work that we're doing, either on our instrument or sitting in meditation and silence? In Buddhism, at least in certain sects of Buddhism, we actually recite a dedication after meditating. And I think this is a really useful practice because it shows us that, and by the way, the dedication is for the benefit of all beings, or some variation of that. And I think this is particularly useful for musicians. It's really useful because we get out of practicing and doing everything for ourselves, which means getting out of performance anxiety if we're not doing well. It means not holding on to some form of perfectionism. Because when we think about what kind of an experience an audience member is expecting from a performance, I think a lot of the time we are just wanting, and saying we as the audience, are wanting a sort of just sense of connection with something deeper, with other people. You know, music is viewed very much like this almost mysterious presence that draws us into something that's not quite ourselves, but we can connect with, but is also not just the sum of everyone listening. It has a special quality to it. And I think we're all drawn to music for that reason, whether or not we put it that way. And so we have to consider as performers, do we want to play perfectly and therefore create an image of ourselves that other people will respect and revere? Or is our main goal to connect people to this sort of sacredness, this sort of mystery of music that's not necessarily perfect, but which will be greatly benefited by whatever technical or practical work we do with the instrument. And so it becomes less about being the perfect musician or the perfect human being or even the perfect meditator, and more about just being here and doing our work for the sake of all beings. I remember I was asked to play at a birthday party a few months ago, and usually these aren't the most fun performances I do as a classical musician. I'm a sort of a stage diva. I like it when all the attention's on me. And so when we're in a concert and everyone's sitting in a silent room giving me their undivided attention, or at least I think, I usually think I'm in a better place then. But at this party, which was the case then, is often the case, I sort of felt like people weren't really giving me their attention. They were just sort of, at the party and, oh yeah, the music's nice, it's in the background. Every once in a while someone will come up and they'll say, oh, how lovely your playing was today. But then they'll go back off into the party and they'll have a drink and they'll have more conversation and they'll probably forget about the music. And then I realized that my music playing was not for me. And it was especially obvious in this occasion. It was for the birthday party. It was for everyone. And with that realization, I started playing a little bit more, we could say, from the heart. I started just wondering, if music, like the air we breathe, the air quality can be good and it can be bad, and the health of people will change accordingly. So too can an atmosphere around a piece of music, around a performance, be like the air we breathe. It can affect things positively or negatively. And playing at this party, I was just stricken with this realization that I could play music for them, and without any hope of something being given back to me. And it was extremely liberating. It was because it freed myself from any sort of prison of self-indulgence that I was putting myself in. And it also freed my music from being less about showing everyone what I have to offer and more about just the offering of it. Just here, guys, this is what I'm playing. This is what I think can be of benefit to myself and to everyone. And we just don't think about this enough in music. I live in Los Angeles, and one of the facts of living in Los Angeles and being in the film industry and all the various performing arts industries here is the feeling anyway, or at least the assumption, is that many people are out to do these things for themselves. And that's certainly been my feeling for a lot of the times being here. And yet, things like television, movies, any kind of performing arts, any creative act, touches all of our lives. And we are deeply affected by it, whether we want to or not, whether we see the movie or TV show or whether it affects the lives of those people that we care about. And they go off and they spread it, and it becomes a part of their attitude to life. So this is reflected a little bit in this Buddhist idea of interdependence, by the way, which just shows it's a way of illustrating that everything influences everything else. Everything leans on everything else. Nothing has its own independent existence. And from this realization, or perhaps just from practicing anything in life with the idea of benefiting all beings, we'll kind of discover that this works, that this way of approaching life, it's in deep alignment with who we really are. So I think I've talked enough about it. I just wanted to introduce maybe a brief practice that we'll all do together, followed by, I guess this is my book series. You'll notice over here is another book of mine. This one is by Adyashanti. And the one retreat I went on with Adya was the one right before the pandemic started. And he shares his dedication of merit with all of us. And at the end of the meditation, I will chant it aloud so we can engage in it together. And for now, we'll begin the practice. So you can sit, whichever way you want. It helps, though, to be upright and aligned. And just allow attention to kind of just be there. Nowhere in particular, just a sort of here-ness to awareness. Begin to sense the body, the sensations in the body, as well as the spaces within the body. And the space around the body, as well as all of the sounds coming in and out of your immediate environment. Some might call the practice of meditation the practice of selflessness. So if we approach this from a selfish point of view, we're actually at odds with the final result. So the first thing I want us to do together is just to observe what we want out of meditation for ourselves. Is there anything there for yourself, actually, in this silence? So if we're really honest, we might admit to ourselves that we approach meditation because we want to be liked or admired. Or we want some sort of status or power over other people. Or maybe we feel lonely. We feel like we need to connect with something bigger in order to feel a sort of company, especially in these days of intensifying isolation. Whatever it is, I want you to identify it. And then I want you to inquire whether this can be found at all in the silence of meditation, in the silence of pure being. So if we want to be liked by others, is there any other in this open silence? If we feel the need for others out of a sense of loneliness or lack, is that sense of loneliness or lack actually relevant to the experience of just here-ness? So this can be a way of just checking that our self-centered ideas about what we want out of a meditation practice or out of music for the moment from meditation are actually not relevant to this space of silence and emptiness. Especially if you've been following the practices so far and you've had some experiences with the meditations that we've been doing. Just noticing that they're not quite relevant. They don't really help or hinder the process of just being aware. And at the same time, recognizing that the practice is not for you, not just for you. We all want freedom from suffering, although we might not know what that means or what that entails. And so, of course, the meditative practice can help alleviate suffering. But just in the same way that the music we play will reach out and affect everyone's hearts and minds, we want this practice to be of benefit to the entirety of being, to the whole world. The whole world just meaning that letting this presence, this emptiness and this openness flow through whatever activities we do, and consciously or unconsciously be of benefit to the people around us, to, if we're music teachers, whatever students we have, if we're performers, whatever audience members we affect. Because while the me that the self-centered view refers to is not here right now, somehow the presence of being that's behind it refers to all of life. refers to life itself. So just connect with this desire in you to help yourself, thereby helping all of creation. And I'll end by chanting Adya's dedication of merit. And we can all join in if you feel like it. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here and now. I dedicate the merit of this practice to all sentient beings. Together we realize liberation. And notice the effect that this has on your experience of the present moment. What different flavor it takes on. So we'll end it here. I know this has been a little bit longer of a video than normal, so I'm more appreciative than normal to have this time with all of you. And I hope that we can share this dedication together and see what it's like when we go to music with this new orientation in our minds and in our hearts. So thank you all very much.